I decided to do my presentation over alcohol and tobacco. So first, the history of alcohol. National Geographic described it as the 9,000-year love affair. They have found chemical residue in a jar from China dating back to 9,000 years ago that was the oldest evidence of deliberately fermented beverage. National Geographic stated that alcohol is more than just a mind-altering beverage. Specifically, it is the prime mover of human culture from the beginning, fueling the development of arts, language, and religion. Alcohol has been a piece of history that nearly all cultures have contributed to. It's nearly equal to famous consumables found from France, such as their cheese and wine, and Germany, and their sausage and beer. The University of Pennsylvania's biomolecular archaeologist Patrick McGovern believes that this mind-altering substance may have a significant contribution to civilization's great advances over the thousands of years. Possibly that alcohol has even contributed to our evolution. They stated that rotting fruit trees may have had active yeast producing ethanol that would have been easy for primates to find because of its pungent smell and enjoyable because of its relaxing effects. This may have contributed to how primates made their way down from the trees. In this image is a Chinese man tending to ancient rice wine. They often made it from rice, honey, and fruits over 9,000 years ago. Next, the history of tobacco. So it was a plant originally only found in the Americas. The Native Americans had been smoking the plant for religious and medicinal purposes for centuries. In 1492, the natives gifted the dried tobacco leaves to Christopher Columbus and his men. The men and their habits eventually made their way back to Europe, and that's when tobacco conquered Europe. By the 16th century, tobacco was established in nearly all European countries and ports. Tobacco was valuable enough to use as collateral for foreign loans. During the Revolutionary War in 1776, tobacco was used as collateral for their loans from France. And cigarettes have always been a huge part of war. Tobacco-Free Life stated, tobacco companies sent millions of packs of cigarettes to soldiers on the front lines, creating hundreds of thousands of faithful, addicted consumers. And this was especially popular during the First and Second World Wars. So, alcohol and tobacco's significance to our health. There's the fast-acting and short-term problems, and then the slowly onset and long-term issues that are accompanied with these two substances. So the quick onset and short-term consequences of alcohol consumption, there's many effects, but to list a few, reduced inhibition, slurred speech, motor impairment, confusion, memory problems, concentration problems, increased risk of car crashes and accidents, risky behavior, violent behavior, and suicidal or homicidal behavior. Some short-term consequences of smoking or chewing tobacco include addiction to nicotine, damage to respiratory system, decreased lung capacity, chronic cough, bronchitis, asthma, bad breath, tooth decay, smelly hair, stained teeth, receding gums, sensitive teeth, sores, patches, and lumps in the mouth, and excessive saliva production. And then some of the long-term consequences of alcohol include alcohol abuse or alcoholism, serious brain alterations, cardiomyopathy, arrhythmias, stroke, high blood pressure, several serious liver conditions, pancreatitis, and many cancers. And then the long-term effects of prolonged use of tobacco include, again, high blood pressure, increased plaque buildup in arteries, heart attack, stroke, weakened pumping of the heart, many serious cancers, chronic bronchitis, COPD, emphysema, and decreased immune function. Also a major one related to both alcohol and tobacco is reproductive damage, not only to the eggs or sperm, but also to a developing fetus, which would be lifelong effects for that fetus. And in the image is a man who was a longtime smoker, and he had jaw cancer and then had his jaw removed and survived, and he is now an advocate to quit smoking and avoid all tobacco use. So the effects of alcohol and tobacco on our class population, which would be college students, I know that I'm 19, so I'm still underage. So, alcohol is the most commonly used and abused drug among youth in the United States, and that's from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. People aged 12 to 20 drink 11% of all alcohol consumed in the United States. Far more than 90% of this alcohol is consumed in the form of binge drinks. So that's males who have 5 drinks or more within 2 hours, or females who have 4 drinks or more within that same time period, which is happening often on college campuses and student populations in college. And then there's underage tobacco use, which would be technically under the age of 18 because you can buy tobacco at the age of 18. And the American Legacy Foundation stated people who start smoking at an early age are more likely to develop a severe addiction to nicotine than those who start at a later age. Of adolescents who have smoked at least 100 cigarettes in their lifetime, most of them report that they would like to quit but are not able to do so. So starting that addiction earlier just leads to lifelong problems, whereas if somebody were to start smoking later in life, there's statistically less likely chance that they would become addicted. And so I think we all know that drinking is a common practice in college life, and I found some interesting information on that, and that the much higher rate of binge drinking and alcohol abuse in college students compared to their non-college attending peers. So it's not just that age gap, it's more of like the college setting and the college mindset. The National Institute of Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism stated the first 6 weeks of freshman year are a vulnerable time for harmful and underage college drinking and alcohol-related consequences because of student expectations and social pressures at the start of the academic year. So basically, when college first starts, that's the riskiest time for people to start drinking and the effects that it'll have on them, either throughout that year or throughout their whole college experience. Some interesting myths and misconceptions about alcohol and tobacco is that there's no quick, easy way to sober up. A lot of people think drinking coffee or taking a cold shower will make you sober up, but it actually takes about 2 hours for a human body to eliminate the alcohol consumed in a single drink, and nothing can speed this process. And then people say a lot, that they can hold their liquor, or somebody else needs to be able to hold their liquor better. And that's not exactly something to brag about or want people to be able to do, because it's just a sign that somebody has an increased tolerance to alcohol and need more alcohol to experience the same effects. So basically, being able to hold your liquor better would just mean drinking more and building more tolerance. And this one surprised me. I didn't know this, but filters do not make cigarettes safer. I kind of thought they did, but I guess not. I read from the CDC that it just makes the inhaled particles smaller so that nicotine will be more easily and quickly absorbed, leading to a stronger addiction. And then also, cutting back on smoking is not enough to save your health. I kind of thought that this helped too, if you cut back, your health would increase, but I guess it doesn't really help that much. You just have to stop completely to have any significant recovery for your health. Every single cigarette causes damage on the body, increases the risk of heart attack, stroke, cancer, and more serious conditions, so it makes sense that completely stopping is the only way that you can really help your body. So my call to action is to consider all of the health conditions that are caused by these two common substances. Human cultures have been intertwined with these substances for thousands of years, and I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon. I don't think people are going to stop smoking cigarettes or using tobacco, and people definitely aren't going to stop drinking. So in reference to the 9,000-year love affair, it's not going anywhere anytime soon. And these substances are widely accepted in our society, and I think people believe that, if it's legal, then it must be safe, but that's not the case. I think it's coming to the surface more now than it has ever before that cigarette companies really are out to make money, and they know that what their product is very harmful, and that's coming more to the surface. But I think companies that manufacture alcohol are still not all of that has come to the surface, and I think it's such a common part of life that people underestimate the negative effects it has on their health. So there's no safe amount of tobacco and there's no safe amount of alcohol, in my opinion, but there have been some studies that say that there are safe amounts of alcohol, that it's even possible to have a glass of wine while you're pregnant, and then, of course, like I'm saying, there's been other studies that say no alcohol consumption is the safest route. And so I like to consider all the health conditions that may last a lifetime caused by these two common substances that are illegal, especially the ones that will last forever, such as, if you're pregnant and the effects it could have on a fetus that will last its lifetime, death of a fetus, death of yourself, death of individuals who get secondhand smoke, and then the economic effects of being an alcoholic or being addicted to cigarettes. It's definitely not cheap, and especially when considering the health effects that it causes in healthcare, it definitely adds up. And then the social effects, which would be addiction and those effects on family and friends. And I also think that a lot of addiction kind of stems from social issues, because a lot of social gatherings do revolve around alcohol. And I know a lot of people call themselves social smokers because they only smoke when they're with friends or other people who smoke. And I think these social issues are only contributing to the issue that we have here. And here are my references.